are very delighted to be here following your visit to Kenya in January. We note that all these wonderful developments you've mentioned have taken place over the last few years, which means that with the proper commitment and dedication, it is possible to achieve a lot in terms of uplifting the lives of people. And we see a lot of similarity between the journey of Indonesia and where we are trying to go as a country. So first of all, receive the consideration and well wishes of President William Ruto and the people of Kenya to the people of Indonesia. And we want to thank you very much for your welcome and your hospitality as we look to strengthen the relationship between our two countries. Yesterday, we managed to have a lot of meetings and to consider areas where we can be able to learn from each other. As a country, Kenya, we discovered many areas that we can learn from Indonesia. And also, we identified several areas where we think Indonesia can learn from Kenya. But let me first of all mention that we see this as a very long-term relationship. We want to create a long-term relationship because what brings us together and joins us is determination to have some courage. Some of the things that you are doing, for example, the ban of the export of raw material requires some courage and some determination. And you have mentioned that the president of Indonesia is leading the way and stamping his foot on the ground in terms of performance. And I want to confirm to you that is the same kind of leadership we have from President Ruto. Within a very short period of 8 months, since our new government came to place, we have managed to change a lot of things, even amidst a very difficult situation in the world. As you know, Honorable Minister, the world is going through a lot of challenges right now. You mentioned, and we are very excited to note, that you managed to keep inflation very low, despite the fact that elsewhere in the world, inflation is at all-time high. And some countries, especially in Africa, we are paying a very huge price for the inflation that is not manufactured in Africa, inflation that is manufactured elsewhere. But because of that, our currencies are suffering and our macroeconomic indicators are taking a hit because of inflation happening elsewhere. So it will be interesting also to learn from you. How did you keep inflation low, even when inflation is very high in the dominant economies of the world? There must be some secret, and I promise you, I will not go back to Kenya until you give me the secret. Because this is very, very remarkable, really, how you manage to keep inflation very, very, very managed, and how you manage to keep your exchange, your currency in a good situation. We also note the very good indicators on some of the topics which are of interest to us in Kenya, on the manufacturing, general manufacturing, in the textile and apparel, which is another area of interest for us, but also on the exports. We realize that your exports have been growing, and you quickly managed to overcome the contraction that happened during the pandemic. So that's another area where we hope to learn from you. How did you turn the curve very quickly, and how can we be able to work together on this? So really a lot of lessons that for us we can learn on the macroeconomic front, on the inflation, on the currency, on the manufacturing, on the exports. So very similar ambitions that we have. We notice also that, like Kenya, you have a very elaborate strategy on fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. The special economic zones is a mirror of also the special economic zones that we have in Kenya. We also have our export processing zone, and indeed the chief executive and the chair of our export processing zones, they are part of my delegation here, because we believe that we have to continue giving incentive to investors, to manufacturers, to exporters, to make Kenya a destination of choice. And so therefore, we would want to take this remaining time of our visit to benchmark on the fiscal and non-fiscal incentive that Indonesia is offering to investors, and compare that with what we are offering within our special economic zones, within our export processing zones. And now, from this year, we are now devolving these incentives to all the 47 regions of Kenya through our county aggregation and industrial park, where every region is going to have its mini special economic zone, so that we can have growth that is inclusive and growth that is distributed all over the country as we look to take off our economic journey. Now, on the B2B situation, we had a good time yesterday. We met a lot of meetings that were prepared for us by your team. We are very delighted, from the area of batteries, to mining, to blue economy, to edible oil, and also this morning with a team from the railways. And we hope to continue that with other meetings in the area of textile, in the area of pharmaceutical. So really, I see a very strong opportunity, a very rich opportunity for us to work together, not only on the macroeconomic level, but also on B2B. And I mentioned to your team yesterday what motivated us to come for this reciprocal visit very quickly after your visit in January, and ahead of the visit to Kenya by the President of Indonesia, hopefully in July, is your approach, which is also the mirror of the approach of President Ruto and the government of Kenya. Very practical approach, where as we quickly establish our relationship on government to government, we let our business people move and create business to business relationship. But also, I want to commend you and your team for very close monitoring and follow-up. All these agreements that we enter, all these visits, can be meaningless if we do not have a strict process and framework for monitoring and evaluation, and for follow-up to ensure that all these wonderful ideas come to conclusion. We hope to conclude all these discussions with a way forward on preferential trade agreement between our two countries. But really, that is important for paperwork. But the best agreement is moving very quickly to establish government-to-government relationship, to establish business-to-business relationship, and to establish people-to-people relationship between our two countries. So let me take this opportunity once again, Honorable Minister, to thank you and your wonderful team here for the warm welcome to our delegation, and we look forward to strengthening this relationship. I must add that it is unbelievable that we let a lot of time pass. We were noting that we only recently opened our embassy here in Jakarta, and we consider that a lot of time has been lost. But the good thing is that we are equal to the task, and we want to run the catch-up. One thing you cannot doubt is the ability of Kenyans to run. I'm sure you know that. So because we are good runners in the world, we are going to run very quickly to catch up with the lost time and create a very strong relationship. We don't even have time for marathon. Now it's a sprint. We have to sprint to the finish line. I thank you. Thank you.